Welcome to Vital Signs Podcast. My name is William Hatton. I am your host here for Vital Signs Podcast. I'm so glad to be joined by Glenis Thompson and Natalie Rigney.
Rigney.
All right. I knew I was going to get that wrong the second she said it, but that's okay. Rigney. And you are new here for the VA, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
Well, awesome. We are doing our not live, but our podcast for our veterans, our veteran community, the folks around West Texas VA, and we're glad to have you both here. They both work in therapy here at the VA. Isn't that right? What is your official title or like your official department there?
Recreational Therapy Services.
Recreational Therapy Services. So, honestly, when we first met, you're working a lot with the folks in the CLC, but really, you work with all veterans. So it's not just the folks that are here specifically, but if a veteran, let's say, wanted to get into equine therapy, you would be a good person to talk to, right?
Yes, correct.
Kind of want before we kind of get into the interview and talking to Glenis and Natalie, I kind of wanted to highlight our Vital Signs magazine. Our new Memorial Day edition is out. We are very excited about it. We're going to be hitting the road in the next couple weeks, kind of distributing it to staff here at West Texas, but also our veterans. We really are proud of the portraits that we did in this magazine. We put this magazine out for you, our veterans, and so we're definitely going to be trying to reach out to you and giving it out as best as we can to the people who visit the clinic. So look for us at your local clinics when we come through, or you can find it there on the end tables there, whichever clinic you're in. But we're really excited about it. It actually features two separate stories about therapy. We had here on the cover, we had all of a sudden Mr. Bohem. He kind of was in a situation where he was limited in his ability to get around. Really kind of missed being able to go out in the outdoors and do fishing and hunting and different things. Common stuff that you see out here in West Texas, and through your assistance, through prosthetics, we were able to get him this, like I don't know, like a tank. It is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. He just rolling around, and we actually, I went to take some photos of him, like just kind of like for the magazine cover. And we're like, all right, let's go to a fishing spot. And he rolls up and he rolls right into the lake. I'm like, oh, okay, he's like, this thing can handle it. And he just goes right into the lake. So definitely, this is a great story. We're really proud of Mr. Bohem. His story is great. He just has some crazy things that happen to him in his service, and you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened. And it is definitely worth reading. But I think we talk about you being able to facilitate different things. That's just one veteran. I think do you see a lot of different veterans for a lot of different things?
Yeah, and everybody's different. For example, Mr. Bowman, he really, his main thing was he wanted to continue hunting and fishing with his buddies.
Yeah.
And with the terrain out there, you can't really go out there with the regular chair. And he was doing it. He was trying.
He was pushing it.
He was trying. But we wanted to make it easier for him.
Mm-hmm.
So this track chair has been on the table for over a year, maybe almost a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
But we needed the proper therapist to kind of assess and get it done. When I got here, that was like the first task that I was handed. Because he really wanted that. So
awesome.
Felt good to get that done for him.
Right on. So it also features a story about Mr. Wise, one of our CLC residents, who was kind of a big part of the greenhouse and the push to get a greenhouse built. He's one of our he just started planting flowers in one of our front beds up front, and it just kind of grew from there. His story, I'm not going to tell too much about his story, but definitely want to check out Mr. Weiss's story as well. Plus, he took all of the flower and the photos that we used in the magazine, so he's got some photography. Like we might be hitting him up here in the public affairs office just for some assistance in that regard. So, really, it sounds like you kind of, if it helps a veteran in terms of therapy, there's kind of we'll find a way kind of a mentality behind it.
Yeah, and I that's just me.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like, there's no limits. I mean, there's limits, but I feel like there's no limits. We can make it work, and we'll get it done.
Awesome. So, Natalie, are you new to the VA altogether, or is this like your first interaction with the VA?
This is my first interaction with the VA.
Okay. What brought you here?
Well, I've been doing different sorts of adaptive training for a while. I do some personal training there. And as I got more into adaptive training, I saw what a benefit it is to different people. It helps get them back into the community and reintroduce them into a social environment. And I started working with some veterans during that time before I worked for the VA. And I saw specifically the benefit there, whether it was a trauma, some PTSD, whatever it might be. But it was a really great opportunity to introduce them back into that social support system that we all need in a very natural way. And so then I started my journey to work with veterans more as a full time. And that's when I met Glenn and I was able to get into the VA.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad your team is growing. I think as a veteran myself, I value different opportunities or different things that we can do for veterans that are struggling with PTSD or struggling with anything. And, I think there's a sense of discouragement. Mr. Turner, so anybody that doesn't know, we featured Mr. Turner in our magazine before. He's been featured in the local news. Mr. Turner's story was something that really kind of stood out to me as a veteran. Especially when we work in the healthcare system, you think about, wanting to improve your health, wanting to not give up in a sense. And, I look at Mr. Turner, who's one leg, he's in a wheelchair, and he's, really kind of pushing it. He's not giving up. Right. And I think you can easily, when you start to get older, you're in a wheelchair, you're down to one leg, you have discouragement and feel like there's nothing you can do. My health is on the downslope. I might as well give up. But Mr. Turner was pushing it. He's preparing for the wheelchair games, which is something that's coming up. I figured we'd bring you in here to talk a little bit about the wheelchair games. So what's that all about?
So the wheelchair games happens every year. Mm-hmm. Every year it's in a different location. At least 700, 800 disabled veterans participate in the games, and it just gives them an opportunity to compete.
Sure.
A lot of these guys are competitors.
Oh yeah, I think that's in the veteran nature, especially the military mindset.
A veteran nature. My first year at the games, I really didn't know what to expect, and by the time I left the games, I was mind blown. These guys, they go after it.
Sure.
Wheelchair rugby, these guys are banging into each other, tipping over, popping right back up.
Sure,
wheelchair basketball, same thing. And you got that camaraderie, I think one of my greatest stories at the wheelchair games was we were at registration, and two veterans just so happened to bump into each other. And I don't remember their names, but I know one of the guy's name was Mike. He was like, one other veteran was like, Mike? And they recognized each other. These guys haven't seen each other in 40 years.
Wow.
And they ran into each other at the games.
That's wild.
Just little things like that. That's amazing, and that's the purpose of the game.
So it's coming up in July, is that right?
July. Yep.
So you heading out there this year?
Yeah, we're heading out there. We got two veterans ready to compete.
Awesome.
We're gonna start putting some training stuff together for them, and just have fun. I told the guys, just have fun.
Sure.
Any veteran that goes for the first time, and these guys are competitive. They want medals. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Come back with
come back with some medal.
Right. So I just try to tell, just have fun and enjoy it. But
I
think that went in one ear and out there, they're like, no, I'm coming back with hardware.
So if I'm a veteran at home, I'm watching this or listening to this, and I hear about this wheelchair games. Who can compete? What are the criteria? What should I think about if I want to kind of get into it?
So a lot of people think wheelchair games, wheelchair. They hear the word wheelchair, and they think it's strictly wheelchair bound. And you'll see veterans up walking, but they have their different abilities and disabilities. Mainly spinal cord injuries, amputees, neurological disorders, and it's case by case basis.
Sure.
Depending on what the games have their physicians, so it's all to their discretion. But you'll see a wide variety of different guys there.
Yeah. Well, if you're interested in participating in the wheelchair games, maybe next year, kind of start preparing for it now. Glenis is a good person to reach out to. We'll share his email here right here, if you will. And if you want to reach out to Glenis, he's a good resource. If you have questions about therapy, things that you can do, things that he might be able to assist with in terms of there's always something going on. I mean, there's golf, there's equine therapy that we've done. I've seen there's a lot of things that we do here at the facility as well. So this team right here is a good group, and I'm pretty certain they're going to be able to help you find, whether it's you or a veteran in your life that just might need some kind of encouragement. I guarantee Glenis is going to give you some encouragement. So
there's tons of resources out here that I feel like veterans in our area don't know about. So my main goal is to get resources out and get the word out on different things, whether it's VA or not VA.
Right. If there's an opportunity out there, he's going to find it. So, well, thank you both for coming in today. This has been Vital Signs Podcast. We're going to come back at you next time. Grab yourself a magazine if you can. We're really proud of it, and we do it for you, the veterans. So thank you so much for watching today. We'll be back next time. Thanks.